And we're live. Hello, everybody.
Monday.
Yes, it's Monday, and we're here. It's an interesting week. I don't know how this show's going to go. Oh, I got to get my drink. God, I love having a fridge right next to my studio now. Oh, it's so much nicer. Oh, yay, yippee skippy. All right. How you doing, sir?
It's Monday.
It's Monday. Do I have a sound level on the soundboard? Yes, good. I should probably put that into my own ear, though, so I can actually time off it.
Still hate Alchemy.
Wow, that's you're like a battered person now. It's very, yeah. I mean, not like a real one. Obviously, I'm not minimizing battered people, but yeah.
It's a very sour taste in my mouth.
Slightly. So, all right. You got everything. Guys, I'm going to give you all a warning right now. We have no idea how this show's going to come out tonight. We got a few talking points, but it's one of those, quieter weeks. And so we've got some programming notes coming up. For those of you watching right now, next week's call-in show is going to be moved back another week to the week between Christmas and New Year's. Mainly because I've been deployed to New Jersey next Monday. So rather than try to do this from hotel internet, where it could go sideways very easily, bought time for a quiet week. Oh, about time is what I think you meant. All right. So just so you all know, Jake, since you're in the chat, yes, just so you know, buddy, we're going to be doing it probably the 27th or 26th, whatever, 2 weeks from tonight. So I think that's the 27th. So, okay. Oh, Aramis talk. I want to get a level on you.
No. Yeah, I refuse. You can't make
Okay. You might want to put the mic a little closer, but it's all good for now. All right.
I can.
All right. Rock and or roll. All right. I think we're ready. I mean, it's going to be an interesting show. I don't even have a, I'm your host, Will Benson, joined as always by my, and then funny little repartee moment. We'll see what I come up with in the moment, but I don't even have anything for that.
Disgruntled in there somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, good call. I'm working that. All right. Red button open?
Yeah.
I'm going to pull my volume back just a little so I don't ping that as much. Is my gain's not up, right? No, that's gain. Okay, good. All right. Okay, let's do this mess. All right. I have a red button. You have a red button. All right. 3, 2, 1. Click. Greetings, salutations, and welcome to the PlanesTalkers podcast, the show by casuals for casuals. I'm your host, Will Benson, joined as always by my disgruntled Scrooge McDuck co-host, Aramis Perez. Aramis, sir, how are you tonight?
I hate everything. I hate everyone.
I pulled it off. We were talking before the show, guys. A little bit of inside baseball here. Those little intros I do with Aramis are almost always on the fly. I mean, I have a kind of idea sometimes I'll think about. I was like, just before the show, I'm like, I have no idea what I'm going to say. And Aramis was the one who's like work disgruntled into it. I'm like, okay then. So that's why we have it. But before we begin tonight, we'd like to remind you that this episode and every episode of, oh gosh, let's try that again because I didn't mean to break gas on that one. All right, 3. Before we begin, though, we'd like to remind you that this episode and every episode of the PlanesTalkers podcast is sponsored by Kerwin's Game Store. Kerwin's Game Store is New York State's premier source for collectible card games, tabletop games, miniatures, comic books, retro video games, and toys. With their clean, open gaming areas available to everyone, Kerwin's provides a fun and inviting atmosphere for new and experienced gamers alike. With locations in both Catskill, New York, and on the second floor of the Poughkeepsie Gallery in Poughkeepsie, New York, Kerwin's Game Store is 100% the best place in gaming. Now, they have a great website. It's a perfect time of year. They are still fulfilling, I do believe, for Christmas, but you don't want to wait too much longer. Go to KGS Online. That's KiteGoSamuelOnline.com and get 5% off on the online order when you use the promo code PlanesTalkers at checkout. We also want to take a second to recognize our rare level patrons: Steve, Spencer, Chiba Tank, Nurse Gaver BJ, Bell, Josh, Jonathan, George, David, Anthony, and Dragon D's Nuts, and Levi. We want to thank you guys so much for being a part of the show. We also want to shout out our mythic rare patron, Jake and Jonathan, as well as Imagine dragging the sea across your face. And let's not forget our producer level patron, Jamie and Scoop. Listen, we could not do the show without these people. They really do keep the lights on here. We're so thankful for them. They normally get first dibs on CommanderCraft broadcasts, which we do on Wednesday, but that's going to be some of the programming stuff we're going to talk about. They're still going to get that, but it's going to be a little different week this week. So we're thankful for that, but we're working on ways to get them more integrated in the show. We also want to remind you that we are proud to be the flagship podcast for the PlanesTalkers network. Our sister show, Catchup Cartel, has launched. They're on Anchor at anchor.fm/Catchup Cartel, and you can download them on most podcatchers. Hit them up on our Discord. They have their own channel area and everything. It's wonderful. We also want to remind you about our other show on the PlanesTalker Network, CommanderCraft. That is our Wednesday show where we play listeners like you using webcams and four-person Commander on Spell Table. You can find out more at our website here, and they're going to launch a website soon. I'll give you guys the URL for that later. But CommanderCraft will be here Wednesday night, 7 p.m. You don't want to miss it. But before we do anything, we're still in Untap, Upkeep, and Draw, and I'm untapping a great thing tonight. It's Coke Zero again. I don't have beer. So, Aramis, sir, how the hell are you?
There is absolutely nothing wrong with Coke Zero. Coke Zero is fantastic.
You know what? The new Coke Zero is even better. Like, I do like the new taste on it. It's definitely...
Hashtag not sponsored.
Hashtag not sponsored. But they could. If you want to start sending me free cases of Coke Zero, that'd be great. But, yeah, speaking as somebody who's diabetic, I mean, you know... If it weren't for Coke Zero, I'd be drinking Diet Coke, and Lord knows nobody wants that action. But how the hell are you tonight, sir?
Apparently, I'm quiet on Twitch if it matters.
You're quiet on Twitch?
That's what Jake is saying.
Yeah, you're always quiet on Twitch. Keep talking.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I'm doing good. You know, it's Monday. I'm still mad about Alchemy. I'm gonna be mad about Alchemy for a while. They need to fix it. Like. Yesterday.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Know, otherwise, super excited about this week. You know, we got stuff happening that we'll talk about later that I'm totally stoked about. And
yeah, absolutely, and that's going to come in our main 2 portion. I'm doing okay too. I mean, it was a nice quiet weekend. We didn't have the kids. Last weekend I got paid, so no kids. Kids are this weekend. But it was nice to kind of be able to relax a little bit. We still haven't decorated for the holidays, believe it or not. No tree yet, nothing. Well, we wanted to, you know, it's really the first year because when Nicholas went his freshman year, we decorated on Thanksgiving, but he was so sick that, you know, this is the first year we kind of had Nicholas at college, and I'm like, I don't really want to decorate. Isabel moved away. I'm like,
motherfucker.
Huh?
TikTok, motherfucker.
We're going to do it this weekend, I think, once Nicholas and Matthew are here. So we're kind of jonesed on that. I do have a programming note I want to bring up. I'll bring it up later as well. The call-in show, which was supposed to be next week, we actually have to move that. I got an email from my bosses last week. They're like, hey, we're doing a Christmas party thing down here in New Jersey on Tuesday, and we'd like to have you come down Monday because it's been a year, and this way we can give you your review in person and just have you on site. You know, we'll put you up in a hotel, and then Tuesday you'll come and work and then go to the party and then drive home. And I was like, I love going to New Jersey. Don't get me wrong. So, so that's why we're moving the show next week is that I think we tried doing the podcast from New Jersey, and it didn't fly well. Or was that CommanderCraft?
I think we were able to make both work, but both of them were both sort of
shitty.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say that, but sure, okay. Shitty.
Yeah, they were pretty crappy. So, and here's the thing: I think we could do it now a lot better than we could do it then. And I mean, I know how to do it a little bit better, but you're relying on hotel internet, and that's not the time for me to try to be playing around with Discord and getting the stage room right and all of that. I'd rather just make sure that we're in a really good, stable environment. So the call-in show is not next week. It has been moved to the 27th. Okay, we really hope you guys can attend. I'm going to put a poll in the thing and be like, how many people can't attend? Like, you know, how many? If it's a lot of people are like, hey, it's the holidays, I don't think I'm going to be on Monday night. Then, you know, we'll talk about pushing it to New Year. But at the very least, I'd like to do it the 27th. And then, so next week, I think is going to be our year in review podcast we normally do at this time of year. So We'll go over everything that kind of happened this year. If there's anything you guys want us to touch on, let us know. Because I've got to be honest with you, it's that time of year in Magic, folks. We kind of warned you about it, that, it gets kind of dead. So, we're going to do some of that. We'll do some CommanderCraft stuff, but, spend some time with your families too, jeepers. So,
although at the same time, it's kind of nice that it's quieted down, because this year was kind of a breakneck pace for stuff.
Yeah, and I don't think it's stopping anytime soon.
Oh no, this train ain't stopping anywhere. If anything, they slammed that accelerator to the floor and then broke it.
Yeah, it's almost ridiculous, but we're kind of excited. So let's get into upkeep, and I'll tell you guys what's happening during the show tonight. Tonight on Main 1, we're going to do State of Standard. We're going to talk about white and green, still kind of holding strong, but there is a new, up-and-comer heading its way. Then we're going to kind of go into the announcements and news. We're going to talk a little bit more about the dead horse that is Alchemy, because that's just,
I wish I actually could beat it with a stick.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Alchemy a little bit, our reactions to it, our personal, what is the state of Alchemy? Crazy, sir, yes. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and then we're going to go into combat if we have anything, and if not, then we're going to go to Main 2 and talk about the programming changes with CommanderCraft, call-in show info, so that type of stuff. So, let's go ahead, and again, this could be a shorter podcast tonight. We just wanted to get something on the air, or, every time I've ever said this could be a shorter podcast, it turns into 15. An hour or 20. But let's see how we do tonight. Let's go into main phase.
Main phase.
All right, main phase. So, State of Standard. So, things are, I guess, settled. Again, we kind of hinted on it last week. I'm not so sure Standard's going to be dynamic for as long as Arena's around, really.
Things are going to get figured out much more quickly. Things are going to settle much more quickly once they do.
I mean, you're still seeing a lot of control. If you look at the top 10 decks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, out of the 10 are control. 3 are aggro, 2 are kind of mid-rangey / combo-y. I mean, Izzet Dragons is kind of, hey, I'm going to take your turns. But, yeah, it's gotten pretty... I mean, mono-white aggro is still mono-white aggro, and I'm not sure about that going anywhere. Mono-green is right behind it. But mono-white aggro being, cost of ownership being $60 less and being as reliable as it is, I can't see that going anywhere for a while.
It's a nice solid deck. I mean, it's good to see. It's good to see white doing well.
Yeah. Well, you certainly don't see it do well in Commander.
They're working on it.
Yeah.
They've been working on it.
So Izzet Dragons is still sitting around. But the one that they're kind of talking about that's been kind of like the dark horse coming out of nowhere is Jund Control. Or Jund Midrange, Jund Control. Interesting deck list. It's built on, pretty much Goldspan Dragon and
the other two ridiculous cards in Standard. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think part of it is the fact that it's, Infernal I mean, it's a lot of removal. It's a lot of removal. At least this control variant. Jund Midrange. Let me check the midrange deck here. Ooh, Jund Midrange looks a little bit more interesting.
A little more combat oriented.
Yeah. Jaspera Sentinel, Magda, Werewolf Pack Leader. It's almost like it's almost more gold. No, it is a full Jund. There's a lot of black. There's a lot of green. I like that. Mm-hmm. I like that. I like seeing a 3-color deck do well. I got to be honest with you. An interesting deck. If you haven't seen the deck list, I mean, yeah, it's obvious that it wants to get Goldspan out as soon as possible, along with Asika. Because I think Asika...
You know where this deck doesn't work?
Asika gets him the treasures. So, what's that?
This deck doesn't work in Alchemy because Asika's Chariot and Goldspan Dragon both got
nerfed. Yeah. So...
God, I hate that
format. The control variants are anywhere from Izzet, Dimir, Azorius. So it's every version of blue you can think of. And then Orzhov. So is it Dimir, Azorius, and Grixis, and then Orzhov?
Blue adjacent colors.
Yeah. So, and they're all kind of living off of Epiphany a bit. Dimir control tends to be a little bit more tempo based. It looks like Azorius control looks to be a little bit more removal. Grixis just looks to be like, screw off, I'm playing Grixis. So I'm digging it though. I really kind of like. I want to see a good control deck come out. It's just these aggro decks get right under it, man. They get right under it.
Aggro's pretty good right now.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's not anything necessarily wrong with that. I mean, the fact that it's not red aggro is interesting. I mean, we have green, white, and black aggro. Mono blue aggro only ever appears once in a blue moon, and that happened already back in Dominaria. So the fact that all of those are around and red is nowhere.
Dominaria.
Nice to see.
That's an interesting topic. Hold on a second. If I'm not mistaken, Dominaria Remastered got a little spoiled this week.
There was a leak, something about a domain name getting registered for a Dominaria Remastered. I don't know if it's going to be an arena thing.
It's
got
to be an arena thing. It's got to be an arena thing.
Well, I mean, they did Time Spiral Remastered.
That's true.
And that was paper.
I don't see how you can do a Dominaria Remastered less than 4 years after it came out.
Well, I mean, most of the sets up until, Scourge took place on Dominaria.
True.
So
they could actually just go and grab a whole bunch of different Dominaria cards.
The problem is the reserve list in that case, because a lot of those sets are reserve lists as well.
True.
Because once they got to Mirrored, then that's when the reserve list kind of goes away. I'm curious to see. I'm excited to see what it is. I have a feeling it's going to be an arena thing.
Me too. Well, because it's Kaladesh Remastered. They already had it programmed.
Yeah,
I do believe Dominaria was already programmed.
we already have Dominaria in there, so maybe it will be a paper product, and maybe it'll be tied into the Brothers War and Dominaria United.
And then they'll do Ixalan's, remastered. Yeah, did they already?
They'll probably do like an Innistrad remastered first, because Midnight Hunt double feature doesn't count.
Yeah, but Ixalan is still in the arena already. Again. Why?
That's why I don't think it's going to be an arena set.
Oh, I think it will absolutely be an arena set. I think Dominaria Remastered is mainly arena. I don't think Hasbro / Wizards has any interest anymore in paper. You can't do, and I mean, we should, we'll pivot and main right to that. Let's talk about Alchemy, because that's kind of like the big elephant sitting in the room on our coffee table where it's just kind of making it bow. The fact is, I mean, Alchemy is, I think, exactly what Wizards wants it to be. Well, maybe not Wizards, maybe Hasbro. But definitely, it is what it is. I don't think Hasbro has any desire beyond Commander to do anything in paper. I really don't. I won't be surprised if standard sets go. I mean, they'll always have to have a standard set. I know that. But here's the thing. The cost of deploying something like in Alchemy, in Arena, versus the cost of deploying in paper is the difference between shooting a bullet and throwing it. It's incredible to me. And Alchemy just... it's a very interesting thing. We're totally going to get right on beating that horse. So, What do you think? You're biting your tongue.
Yeah, I'm biting my tongue. As much as I hate Alchemy, I don't think it's going away.
Oh, I don't either. I don't. In fact, far from it.
My hope is that they listen to the community. That outside of content creators, I have seen very few people who are actually happy about Alchemy. I think the biggest complaints about Alchemy have been that you don't get redeemed for your wild cards, which I think is very legitimate.
And even the content creators that are all Pollyanna on this, there isn't a one of them that hasn't brought that up. Yeah. So that's going to be a thing.
Needs to get fixed.
Yeah,
that definitely needs to get fixed. I think that will get fixed eventually. The other part that I think needs to happen is I think they honestly need to split the queue in Historic.
Yeah,
give you an option to play Historic without Alchemy, because,
well,
I mean, because there's no. there's no place to play the cards that have rotated out originally in their original form if they were changed in Alchemy outside of Standard, because it's changed in Brawl, it's changed in Historic. Those are the only two other formats that are constructed in Arena other than Standard, and you have the option in Standard to play Alchemy or not.
And then what's this going to mean for reprints? Okay, like Asika's Chariot would have been a great card to eventually reprint. Like, it's a good, powerful card. It's a good, powerful, artifact.
Well, what'll happen is if it ever gets reprinted in a paper set, it'll be in the paper set, but it'll automatically be the Alchemy version.
That's what. Well, we don't know that. Nobody has said that. Like, that's
what's going to happen because
I don't know. Yeah.
If it's printed into a set that's not legal in Standard and it goes straight to Historic, the Alchemy version takes precedent. So if they ever reprinted Goldspan Dragon or Omnath, Locus of Creation, or Asika's Chariot, or Wizard Class, or all the other myriad cards they've tinkered with,
I don't think they would do something like Omnath. Goldspan Dragon. I
don't think they will either because it's been banned in formats. They're never going to reprint that card.
Right.
I'm just saying, hypothetical.
Right.
If any of the cards they've changed in Alchemy, if they ever reprint them in a set that goes straight to Historic, you're not going to get the regular version of that card. You're only ever going to see the Alchemy version of the card, but you'll still have to collect the 4 copies of that card because it has a different expansion symbol and it's in a different set. Therefore, you lose more potential rares.
Right. Oh, no, I was talking like Asika's Chariot I could have seen being reprinted in paper someday.
Well,
I was
Alchemy
talking in paper.
Alchemy is irrelevant in paper.
I know that they say this. My thinking would be this, though, okay? Them redesigning inside Alchemy, okay, means that they realize there's a design problem with that card. So I wonder if they would be tempted to be like, well, what if we reprinted it with the Asika's Chariot?
That won't happen. That won't happen.
I hope
because
not.
What'll end up happening is that people will buy physical versions of the card, and if they don't know which one they're getting, that's going to cause problems in tournaments. It's different in Arena where you click a button and it's automatically there for you. When there is a chance for a person to make a mistake and get the wrong thing in the physical world, you have to assume it will happen.
Right.
So if Asika's Chariot ever gets reprinted in a paper set, it'll be Asika's Chariot because Alchemy is a Arena digital only thing. Because remember, don't forget, in Alchemy there are cards that cannot work in regular Magic because of tracking issues, memory.
Well,
issues,
I'm not talking the Alchemy cards. I'm talking the rebalance cards now, obviously.
Yeah, but those are part of Alchemy.
And I like what Jake is saying here. He says, my fear is Alchemy is going to produce bad card design habits because cards are so easily fixed in Alchemy, leaving paper formats left with possibly very broken cards. I think that's what we're going to see. I think that's why they did it.
What do you mean going to see?
Yeah. I mean, we've been seeing that for a while now. We're talking an Oko world. And again, Oko, I can forgive Wizards for Oko. I think Oko was a card that nobody saw the ability of that. And then when it came out, though, everybody's like, how do we not see it? Even they said it. They were like, yeah, we just didn't test that.
Oko was a card that people, when they were reading it, they couldn't believe that it was as good as it was. They wanted to tell themselves that there's no way this card is actually that good.
Well, we all slept on it. Yeah, we all slept on it. I don't remember.
But that's the thing is that we hadn't seen that level of absurdity in a card for a long time. So when it showed up, people were like, "There's no way this card's."
And I think that's why when Omnath came out, we were ready. We were like, it did change how we all as content
Omnath
creators.
was at a different level. Though.
Yeah,
Omnath.
Everybody looked at that card and said, guys.
Yeah, Omnath was a completely different beast. I mean, but we got used to seeing all of those cards at that level, and now that we've shifted back the other way, we're like, oh, these cards are all whatever.
Boring.
But that's fine. I mean, this seems this correction doesn't seem to be an overcorrection. This seems to be okay. We're backing off. The pendulum's going to swing back the other way at some point.
Right.
But
I think the Brothers War. I think if they're gonna go, they're gonna come out swinging for the 30th.
You would think so.
Yeah. So, and the reason we're kind of still talking about Alchemy this week is I don't want to just kind of sit here. I mean, our opinions on Alchemy are out there and they're well known. I kind of want to talk about Alchemy as an abstract as far as the community goes, because I think this has shown a light on a few things. First of all, you and I were dead wrong last week about something. When we were talking about I don't imagine how any content creator could get behind this. Boy, were we wrong, because I thought, like, I've seen other content creators, a lot of the content creators I follow, like on YouTube and some of the, podcasts, are, they're all kind of sitting where we are, which is like, this seems like a horrible thing, and this is bad for Magic, blah, blah, blah. But I was amazed last week when I listened to some of the larger, more, I'm going to say, on Wizards' radar podcasts. The kind of podcasts that get like the promo cards and they get to reveal cards from new sets. Yeah, JV, I'm not going to mention them by name, but yes. The fact is, I mean, you're looking at, I was listening to these podcasts. I listened to 2 or 3, and the bigger ones seemed to really go a way I wasn't expecting with regards to Alchemy. And it was almost, I didn't want to say laughable, but in some cases where I would listen to these casts, where I'm a fan of these podcasts, what got me was it didn't sound like their normal stuff. In that they came out and they thought Alchemy was a wonderful thing. They think this is good for Arena. This is good for Magic. Being able to fix cards on the fly is something we should have always wanted, and Hearthstone can do it, and this, that, and the other thing. This is my personal opinion here, and if this means Wizards never likes me, that's fine. I'm calling bullshit on that, personally.
I'm not.
I'm calling BS on that, in that, here's the thing. One of those podcasts talked about the fact that Wizards brought a bunch of the higher end creators into a Zoom call where they kind of presented this like 2 days before. I'm sitting there going, $50 says in that thing, they're like, we need you guys to be positive about this. We need you to be on board. You can be critical about it, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of them were. A lot of them were critical about certain things, like the economy, the fact we can't dust, the fact that we can't. And Jake, this is me making. Nobody has said that that's what Wizards said. I've just been in enough marketing meetings to know that if you have a meeting with a bunch of people that, and you're presenting something, you're going to say to them, hey, you're content creators, and we want you to say whatever you want to say, but we'd really like to encourage you to look at the positive on this because we need this to be successful. And there's nothing wrong with that. And so that's, listen, you know what? I shouldn't even say stuff like that because I wasn't there. But I do know that there was a meeting. I do know there was a Zoom meeting. ArenaCraft talked about it on their last episode, where the guy sitting there and Cobalt Go Blue or whatever his name is, he talked about it. He's like, yeah, we were all pulled into a Zoom call, and they showed us where this stuff was going, and the response was overwhelmingly positive. I'm like, huh. What are your thoughts on that? So that's why I'm calling bullshit a little bit.
I'm not to a certain extent.
Okay.
I can see a world where Alchemy is a good thing. I can see. I'm not so, obstinate that I can't see where this can be good. The idea of saying, hey, we designed this card. Whoops, it's a little bit too crazy.
Right.
Let's dial it back a bit. Let's adjust this. Or this card's not quite as good as we were hoping. Let's tweak it, make it a little more powerful. I have zero issue in a digital game.
I agree with
doing
that. I agree with that.
And I think in that regard, if you look at arena in a vacuum, Alchemy is perfect for it. I think where you run into an issue is that Magic is not Arena in a vacuum. Magic is Arena. Magic is Magic Online. Magic is paper. It's these different game systems,
Right,
that all coexist in one big environment. And there's going to be a time where there's a player who's played mostly on Arena, mostly in Standard, Alchemy Standard, or Historic, which is, now it's just Alchemy Historic.
right.
They're going to go to a paper tournament for the first time. They're going to be playing with these cards, thinking that, okay, well, this is the printed version of the card, but that's not actually what it is, because in Alchemy, it's something different.
Right.
not realizing that the card has changed
Right.
or hasn't changed in that regard.
Yeah.
You run into the problem already with errata. I mean,
Right.
the companions, they don't work as they're printed anymore.
Right.
They had to they had to do that because it was such a big mistake.
Yeah.
That's a situation where something like Alchemy would have been good if it was strictly a digital game. Like, listen, companions are fucked. We gotta fix this, and this is what we're doing.
Whoops.
and that's fine. The problem is that it's not just a digital game. So the content creators reacting the way they do, especially the bigger ones, Wizards can suggest and do this all they want. Unless the content creator is directly sponsored or employed by Wizards, there's only so much Wizards can tell them to say that they'll go along with. In the end, that content creator has to make a decision for themselves and say, okay, well, do I want to be honest with my listeners and subscribers, or do I want to just toe Wizards, with their line about Alchemy? I feel like most of them have sort of taken a position somewhere in between,
Right.
where it's saying, sort of like me, where I'm saying I can see where this is good. I think the idea isn't the worst idea. The wildcard thing is a problem. The economy is a problem. The implementation of Alchemy is a problem. I mean, it's the way Wizards has done things / Hasbro.
Right.
The way they've done things for a while now, where it's like, hey, here's this great idea. They just sort of puke it out onto the table and then sort of clean up the edges.
I don't know.
When they realize that, it's a little bit,
Jamie!
their implementation of this was flawed at best. And I think they need to listen. They need to listen to the people who have been making a lot of noise about this. And okay, yeah, some of them are people just screaming at the clouds because they're pissed off.
Because they're
about
Wizard.
something.
It's Magic people. Yeah, I get
and
that.
And yeah, Magic players as a rule.
This doesn't feel like that though. And again,
no, it doesn't. And I think Wizards needs to listen. And I think Wizards will listen to a certain extent. I think they will make adjustments to Alchemy. I don't think it's going to be as far as I would like, but I do think at some point they'll be like, listen, okay, we get it. And here's what's going to happen. If we change a card, we'll redeem your wild cards once.
Right. It's just, here's the thing, or you give them the choice. I don't think you listened yet. I mean, you should go and listen to the podcast if you haven't. If it was sitting like that and sitting in this place of, kind of middle of the road like you are and like I can be at times with this, I'd be okay with that. But especially the two I've listened to, I mean, I already called out Arena Craft. I'm going to call out MTG Goldfish too. All right. They were so Pollyanna. I mean, everything. This is the best idea ever to come in the history of ever. It's the best thing that one of them said. It's the best thing to happen to Magic. I'm like, I couldn't believe what I was hearing.
Well, you have to keep in mind. You have to keep in mind too. Where are they doing most of their content? Are they doing most of their content physically? Or are they doing most of their content on Arena?
Everybody is playing on Arena these days.
That's the thing. If they're primarily on Arena, then it doesn't matter to them what this does in paper and what this does in MTGO, right? Because Arena is where their listeners are. Arena is where their subscribers are.
Well, MTG
they want to cater to that.
They sit half and half. Like they do a lot in MTGO. But they sit in Arena too. And again, I don't mean to call out other shows, but then you look at somebody like the Professor who has a very measured response to this. Okay, and we know he's not in Wizard's back pocket. He's in Card Kingdom's back pocket. And he's not overall a fan of it, but he can understand why it's I can too. I think we all can. I think the problems are, that's just it. You can be on board with this, but aware of the problems. And that's where we kind of are. Okay, the problem is, okay, I get it. Historic is your digital-only format that you created for Arena specifically. But it was created really because you didn't have a way to answer the question of what do I do now that my stuff is rotated?
Well, it's also an answer to the question of you guys are going to put Pioneer in here, right? And they said, sure, absolutely.
Yeah. And that's just it. The Professor hit the nail right on the head. Here's how to fix it. You put Pioneer in. Because that's the main problem now. The problem that they have created by making Historic have to play these rebalanced cards is that there is no, if you want to use Arena to play Magic the way you like to play Magic, and there are some people that want to play Magic the way they like to, they can't in Arena now. They can play Standard, or that's it. Okay, because Historic, which was kind of enough like Modern / Pioneer to scratch the itch, and even Brawl was enough like Commander to scratch that itch, that it was okay. And we all kind of learned to love Historic for what it was. And Historic Brawl, too, in its own way. But what happened was, because they are like, it's our digital-only format, so F off, we're going to make Historic what Historic is meant to be, and it's meant to be Arenas digital only, so we're going to use the rebalanced cards only. That's where a lot of people's noses are bent out of shape. And unless they can get another paper-style format into Arena somehow, Modern is going to be way too hard. Commander would be harder. So it has to kind of be Pioneer. Unless they're willing to take those steps, Arena's going to have... It's going to continue splitting the fan base, which I think is the real problem here. Okay, we've discovered this last week. We talked about it. We kind of have two fan bases. You have the paper people and the Arena people. And for a long time, we all kind of meshed together, especially during the pandemic. But now it seems like Wizards is going out of their way to cultivate these two different markets, which, again, I understand that they want to do. But I say that it's bad for the community. And because MTGO is not a hot dumpster fire, but it's just hard to understand. And again, Jamie's hitting a point too. He's like, would you guys be concerned with Alchemy cannibalizing Standard in that they will fix the meta on the fly in Alchemy, whereas Standard players have to wait for an official announcement? If Pioneer is added to Arena, would this negatively impact Paper Magic enough where Modern, Legacy, Vintage, Pauper, Commander would have to rely on third-party TOs to play their formats? Possibly.
There's already going to basically be third-party tournament organizers anyway. I don't see Wizards getting back into the organized play arena, for lack of a better term. I don't see them getting back into that unless it's like a consulting type of thing, or saying, hey, we'll give you price support or logistical support, but we're not organizing this anymore.
It's, again, they want to go Monopoly. They want to be Monopoly route.
Yeah, as far as Standard goes, I mean, they split the two queues. That's the one thing. And like I said, if they had done that with Historic and Historic Brawl, I would have been completely fine with the Alchemy update, because I have no interest in the Alchemy stuff. Standard is going to be what it is in Arena. It's going to be regular Standard. If you want to stick with that, that's fine. It'll still be subject to the same banned and restricted announcements as normal paper Standard. If you feel like, okay, this format's getting stale, and after 30 days you see the adjustments made in Alchemy, and you're like, okay, well, I kind of like this better, then you're able to pivot over to Alchemy Standard and play with the rebalanced cards. Right. It'll be interesting to see if they ban a card in Standard, what that does with the Alchemy version. I don't think the Alchemy version would get banned.
I think here's what people are mainly worried about. I think people are worried that they're not going to ban in Standard.
Oh, they will, because again, Standard is still a paper format.
Who's playing it?
It still fires off on FNMs. It still fires off. There's still tournaments that are firing for this, and the hope is to get back to paper in-person events.
But those are probably going to be, let's not kid ourselves. When we get out of this pandemic, paper events are not going to be Standard. They haven't yet. It's Modern.
Well, there's been one event.
Yeah, it's Modern or Legacy or Limited.
Well, and that's fine too, because those formats need love as well.
They do, and I can get behind that. But that's where I sit there and go, like, there isn't anybody out there who I could put a poll up on the Discord right now, and I think it would be 9 out of 10 would agree. Alchemy, or Elrond's Epiphany needs to be banned. Like, that card is going to be. I know now it's not. There's no way, because they can rebalance, and I think
I don't think Alchemy is the reason why it's not going to be banned, but that's
yeah. But I just. It's frustrating. It is. And I'm frustrated at the community as a whole, because I don't need everybody to agree with me. Let me go out here. Okay. There's a lot of, I don't want to say garbage people, but there are a lot of actionable and excitable people in this lovely game we call Magic. Okay. And they're the first ones to call foul at anything. And there are a lot of negative Nellies. And we can be a little critical on this show, but the fact is, like, there is no because of historic, and that's my problem. The same problem you have is what I have. My problem is you're taking a choice away. You gave us this really great thing that we made, and we made it great because people embraced historic. Okay, people embraced it, and they made it this really special thing that kind of scratched the itch of modern/pauper during the pandemic. And then all of a sudden, now they're taking it and saying, no, you can't play it the way you want. You have to play it with these new rebalanced cards because this is our digital only format, the same as this. Meanwhile, they're like, it was meant to be digital only. Nobody was playing historic in paper. There were some smaller stores trying to play historic events in paper. I think it could have happened. Now, it couldn't have used the digital only cards, but
yeah.
There are some.
It would have been hard. It would have been hard to keep track of which cards are legal in historic because of the anthologies, sprinkling in those cards from all these different sets.
But I just, there are people out there that tried it. I think they screwed up. They did.
Yeah, I mean, well, like look how long and hard the community fought to get Historic Brawl as a regular queue.
Yeah, it took almost 7 or 8 months.
And we got ahead for 3 months, and then like, oh, by the way, now it's Alchemy.
Yep.
So.
And I mean, Jamie says too. He's like, Wizards has really attacked paper in my country. Most stores only play Commander due to lack of numbers for anything else. Even in the big cities, the people who would show up to play the modern events or the standard events have gone to Yu-Gi-Oh!, Digimon, 40K, etc., etc. LGS in my part of the world has had to kick MGG to the side in order to survive, and I don't think Wizards has even noticed. You're not alone. That's not something limited to Europe. I think we're seeing that here as well. I think Magic events are firing in LGSs here, but not crazy.
Depends on where you go. It depends on, because the one problem that we have in the States is that every state has, is allowed to do their own thing in regards to safety protocols and rules for gatherings and everything else. Like in New York, just today, they reinstituted a mask mandate for indoors.
Right.
And that's until January.
Unless you're requiring proof of vaccination, which flights is, yeah.
Which flights is,
yeah.
But in say Florida or Texas or pick another state, it could be completely different. There could be no mask mandate, there could be no social distancing, it could be one or the other, and it's hard to say with a broad stroke that this is how it's happening here. What I can see is that I know Kerwin's is firing events. I know that Flights is firing events. They each have their own way of taking care of their players as far as, hey, are you vaccinated? Hey, are you wearing a mask? Here's some hand sanitizer stations, da-da-da-da. I think part of the problem is that there's less interest in these events because there is no organized play.
Right.
That anybody can realistically attain for, whereas like in Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Digimon, I know like Flesh and Blood, they have these professional. There's a circuit. There's tournament circuit. You can qualify for it. It's clear cut. You can get to the pros. Whereas in Magic, unless you're like you got lucky and you get the at-large invite for being an up-and-coming streamer, you're not going to get into the Rivals League or the MPL. And oh, by the way, that's dead after this year anyway. We talked about this last week. There's no information of what, if anything, is coming after. So I'm not surprised that people are moving on to other games to get that competitive itch, because there's really no reason to play competitive Magic right now unless you're already in the MPL or the Rivals League. There really isn't.
Right.
There's no end game here. There's no goal to attain for. You're not going to get the shiny trophy. You're not going to get your face on their website. You're not going to get the big check for $30,000 because that doesn't exist right now. And I think that is one of the biggest mistakes that have happened over the last couple of years, but circling all the way back to Arena. I agree with the professor. Pioneer needs to come to Arena. They were talking about it. They were saying it was in development. It got pushed to the back burner, apparently for Alchemy. That needs to change. They need to get some staff on, focus in on Pioneer. Hey, maybe even make Pioneer Brawl. If Historic is going to be digital only, Alchemy cards, fine. Give us Pioneer, give us Pioneer Brawl, It's still not Commander. I don't think 4-player Magic is ever coming to Arena. I think they'd have to rebuild the entire system for that. I don't think it's possible,
Right.
which is a shame. But they need to get Pioneer they need to get at least another Eternal format onto Arena that uses the cards as they're printed. I think that is the ultimate way to solve this issue. If that's what they're working towards, they need to tell the community now, because there are, like I said, there's some pitchforks and torches and angry mobs going on here, and it's very justified. And like I said, I can see why Alchemy is good. I can see the fun aspect of rebalancing cards or introducing digital only cards. It doesn't interest me personally. I want to have the choice, like you were saying, of not being able to do that in a non-standard or non-draft limited format. I don't have that choice anymore. Ergo, I don't have a reason to log in right now.
Right.
Which sucks, because I was having fun.
Yeah.
And now I'm not.
You know, and that's kind of where we're at. I mean, on my hand, I'm a little worried that Wizards is, the community and things like that. I want to see honest reaction, and it makes me feel like maybe I'm wrong, and I've had to reassess how I feel. I feel how I feel. I do think that historic is a problem. I think the economy overall is a problem. You either have to enable trading or you have to enable dusting. One of the two. If you don't, then you just should hand out wild cards. And the professor said it best. You should lead, or somebody else did. They're like, you should be liberal with wild cards. It costs you nothing. To be a little more liberal with the wild cards and being like, here, take, da 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 da.
Especially since the second they decide to turn off the servers, they lose nothing. Nobody can cash out of this.
Right. And
you have no value in these cards.
And, well, it's not just that, but when you realize, too, that in this new set, there were, 8 uncommons, 3, mythics, and then the rest were rare. So even if you're constructing out of Alchemy using wild cards, you got to have rare wild cards.
Yeah, and you can't even draft the Alchemy.
You can't even draft.
So
it's
the
a
only
real
way to do it is to buy packs.
Yeah, it's shitty. They need to fix it. They need to fix it now. But I mean, that's kind of it. I call on the other content creators. If I fall on anybody's radar, all right, realize that, make sure that you address. Now, if you've been spoken to by Wizards, there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I'm going to give you guys my opinion, but you know what? Wizards has talked to me about it, and da 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 da. Be honest about it. Because it seemed a little Pollyanna-ish. Somebody said it in our Discord last week. They were like, I just listened to this other podcast, and holy cow. They were like, let's see, where is it? It was Parkmania. He's like, with a Magic Pro talking about Alchemy. I don't know his accolades, but he lost credibility to me whenever he said, I haven't played paper Magic in years and don't expect to ever again. So they brought in a pro that's been playing mainly Arena. It's definitely something that could be a problem later. I'd love for Wizards to give us the opportunity to preview cards, but not if it means I have to constantly be okay with everything they do. Because I'd rather be, not be a shill. And I don't think that these other sites are. I love these podcasts I listen to. There's a reason I listen to them. But that's kind of on my mind. But let's go move on to combat. And then realize we don't have anything to fight over, so we'll go to main 2.
Main phase.
So main 2 here, we're going to do a little bit of programming changes. We want to kind of give you guys an update on what's going on with the show. We're entering our 4th year. We're coming to the end of season 3. We'll be at season 4 very soon. And with that comes a lot of a few changes. First of all, obviously, again, we had to move the call-in show from next Monday to 2 weeks from tonight. So please, I hope you guys can make that call-in show. We really want to have you on the air. I'd love to hear what you all think about Alchemy. I think that'll be one of the things we talk about. Also, though, I want to kind of give you guys an update. We've got some very exciting news. This is kind of what we were hinting about last week, and we're going to kind of tell you about it now. as you guys know, we kind of have this little PlanesTalkers network that kind of came about because Cantrip Cartel wanted to come in with us. So that's great. Well, Aramis and I have been thinking about CommanderCraft. And I'd like, it's kind of been a division, quote unquote, of this podcast. And it's always going to stay that way. But I kind of don't want to limit it to just the PlanesTalkers. So with that in mind, CommanderCraft is going to kind of spin off. Now, Aramis and I are still going to be the ones in charge. We're still going to be the hosts. But it's going to get its own website. It's going to get its own thing. Now, we're still going to use our patrons to take seats in the thing. Nothing's going to change there. It's just more of a, I want to kind of prepare it for growth. That being said, what's kind of great is that we're very excited. We have a sponsor for CommanderCraft. So another store came up to us and said, hey, I want to do something with you guys. So this podcast is still Kerwin's podcast. But CommanderCraft is now going to be sponsored by Flights 2. And so what does that mean? Well, that means next Wednesday night not next Wednesday night, this Wednesday night. This Wednesday night, we will not be having CommanderCraft take place over Spell Table. We're very excited to announce Aramis and I are actually going to be going into the store and doing the broadcast of CommanderCraft from Flights 2 on Wednesday night. So that's very exciting for us. We're going to go in, and it's going to be an interesting technical marvel because he doesn't have a table set up yet, so we're going to kind of MacGyver a solution together for this week. It's going to be kind of the test show. We may or may not, get a whole game in before something breaks, but we're very excited about that. What does that mean for you guys? Well, we negotiated with this much similar to Kerwin's. We are going to have swag to give you guys. We're going to have more tournaments like our Win-A-Box tournament, only this one's going to be more winning things that are Commander staple tournament, like, win a product tournament. I'm not sure exactly what we're going to call it, but, and we're not going to be limited to Arena. Dave feels that we can use other programs. So we may do an event for CommanderCraft in Cockatrice or, MTGO or whatever. So we're very excited about that. It's going to kind of open things up a little bit. The Cantrip Cartel guys are their show's also growing. They're at about 200, 300 downloads a week right now. So they're looking at some growth about when things are going to go, and we're very excited to help them through any of that as well. But yeah, CommanderCraft is exciting. This is going to be great. So nothing's going to really change on the podcast side here. We're still going to advertise CommanderCraft just as we advertise the podcast over on CommanderCraft. But CommanderCraft is going to kind of become its own thing. We're just going to be the ones in charge of it. What do you think, Aramis?
I mean, the viewers won't really see too much of a change.
No.
It's basically it's sort of like not even like a rebranding, but it
is kind of a rebranding. It's kind of taking the CommanderCraft and making it its own. It's going to be CommanderCraft, a part of the PlanesTalkers network.
Yeah, the change is going to be mostly cosmetic. As far as functionality for you guys, like watching the show or participating in the show, there's not really going to be any change. So
our patrons are still going to be our patrons, and they still get first.
It's more of a logistical change.
Yeah.
So it's all good stuff. I'm super excited about it. The first show, like you said, is going to be on Wednesday night. We're each going to bring a selection of decks, maybe have the actual really good Rule Zero conversation, not lock in the commanders we play before we actually start,
So we're very excited about that. I hope you guys enjoy it too. It's going to open things up. So if you're local, okay, I think Vic's local. I think Apollo was like, I can be local. If you're local and you want to play with us on a Wednesday night, like I have no problem telling Dave, hey, look, this is one of my OG listeners and we want them at the table. This week, it's going to be me and Aramis. Dave's definitely sitting in with us. So then we're going to just grab another listener from his show because he already runs a Wednesday night cast or Wednesday night Commander event. It's still going to be casual. We're not playing EDH. Dear fracking Lord, no.
We are playing EDH. It's not EDH.
Yeah. So, it's going to be a lot of fun. We're very excited for this. Dave he's got an interesting style and it's different than ours. He doesn't have a web presence. So it's not like we could sit there and say, hey, go to his store and buy stuff. But you got to see his store. If you ever come to the Albany, New York area, first of all, you have to tell us. His store is definitely something you want to, like, if you've never seen a Black Lotus in person, like, it's a beautiful thing. So very excited. And again, that, Kerwin's is still our main store for this podcast. They are, and it's still our game store. Like, Aramis and I like to play there. And as soon as we, feel a lot more comfortable going to a Friday Night Magic, we're gonna do that. So,
Yep.
But definitely very excited for this event. So, I mean, Aramis, what do you think?
Like I said, I'm stoked to be able to play in-person Magic.
Yeah.
And like you said too, Friday nights, once things are back to, I mean, I was starting to think about going back there soon, but now that the mask mandate's back in New York, it's like, I guess I'm waiting for a few more weeks.
Yeah. Because what Dave said was he's going the other way. Dave's gonna basically, we won't be masked up Friday because he's like, look, if you're not vaccinated, you're not in the store. Period. I'm like, okay, that's certainly another way to go.
And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with. I would have been okay if he said, if you're not vaccinated, you wear a mask or,
right.
Something along those lines. But he took the hard line, and that's okay. He wants to keep his customer base safe. He's it's not against anybody who hasn't gotten the vaccination. Just says, listen, I just want to make sure people are as safe as they possibly can be.
Right.
If you're 100% vaccinated, you're welcome. If not,
yeah,
get your shot. So
we're very excited about this. So that's kind of it. Again, don't forget though, next week's call-in show is now 2 weeks from now. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of our main two stuff though, just the programming changes. Be on the lookout. I'm actually putting a website together for PlanesTalkersNetwork.com. And I think I've got, let me see if it's still available. We used to have a website for, what do you call it? We used to have a website for CommanderCraft, when it was when it was being used before, and we kind of let it go because, see if I can get it back. Holy shite. Somebody took it. No kidding. Ha! CommanderCraft MTG is gone. Whoa. CommanderMTG.com is available, though? Huh.
Anymore.
Huh. That's a really good. We're gonna have to look at this later. But that's kind of where we're at right now. So let's go ahead and get into End Step, and we'll start backing ourselves out. And we're right at the 54-minute mark.
End Step.
All right, so as Aramis and I are rolling up our playmats and putting our cards back in the boxes and taking the pizza boxes over to the garbage can because, damn it, your mother still does not work in this game store. We want to remind you that we have a Twitch channel where we stream all sorts of content. Look up the PlanesTalkers podcast channel on Twitch, and there you'll see all the shows we do on both Magic and other geeky games. You can also follow me on Twitch at Mindcrime73, where I've started playing DC Universe Online pretty regularly there, as well as at Minecraft. My gosh, Backcraft is going crazy. So check it out there.
If you'd rather interact with us in a more real-time fashion, you can join our Discord. You can find it discord.planestalkerspodcast.com. Very active community, especially during our Winterbox tournaments. You have to be a member of the Discord to join. You can talk to us during the shows, during our broadcasts, CommanderCraft and the Planestalkers podcast. We have a live chat channel. You can join in and talk with us live if you want to. Like I said, a lot of people there are also just willing to talk, pick up a game, whatever you want. If Twitter is more your speed, you can find us. We'll tweet about, if we're going live or if something really big happens, we want to talk about it. Go to Twitter and look up at PlanesTalkerPod.
And my personal Twitter is at WR Benson. And of course, you can always follow us on Facebook. Just go to facebook.com/PlanesTalker. Like and follow the page there. That's PlanesTalker without the S at the end. And don't forget, too, we also have our Playcast on Wednesdays where we play Paper Commander live. Tune in for CommanderCraft live Wednesday night. This week, again, big time live. Right around 7 Eastern. We'll probably go live a little early to do some testing, but it'll be on this channel here.
Yep. And finally, if you want to send us some emails, there's 3 different email addresses you can use to get in touch with us. The first one, podcast@planestalkerspodcast.com, will be able to be read by both of us. You send us an email about maybe an idea for the show, just a regular comment, maybe a deck idea or a question. We'll read your email on air. If you want to email one of us directly, you can email Will. His address is will@planestalkerspodcast.com. If you want to email me directly, the address is aramis@planestalkerspodcast.com.
All right, and on that note, we want to thank you again for listening to us tonight, hanging out with us, or listening to us in your car. We will be back next Monday with our year in review show, as well as all sorts of other fun stuff, so don't miss that. We'll be back Wednesday for CommanderCraft. Don't miss that. Don't forget to check out Catchup Cartel at anchor.fn/CatchupCartel. But for Aramis Perez, this is Will Benson saying thank you for listening, thank you for being fans of the show, and reminding you to keep some of your mana untapped because you never know when you'll need it. Take care and have a great week. Bye-bye. And we're out. 122.
What have you got packed up for Wednesday?
Corvold.
Okay.
Dragon. Slivers. The red deck. Sir Gwyn. And one other.
Renansari?
And Renansari, yeah. And I kind of upgraded a little bit of Renansari, so
Good.
I'll be doing some more upgrading this week probably on that one.
So mostly higher level stuff.
Not really higher. I mean, Corvold's not that high.
Corvold's pretty nuts.
I'd say
Value engine.
Yeah, I'd say Slivers is not terribly, I don't know. Renansari's not high level.
No, Renansari is a fun one.
Yeah.
I like that one.
I don't have a ton of other than the precons that are, that level of but I think it's more mid-range because again, they're all missing pieces. It's just I play kind of combo-y. So what episode 122, right?
Yeah.
And export. Putting it on my Mac because again, I got my Mac working again. So
I'm bringing Yidris, Traxos, Yidris, Traxos, Azmarino, Mardica, Dace, and Koldakar.
Oh, that's fun.
I'm bringing Zakama. What are the other two?
Yeah, I'm leaving Atraxa, I'm leaving Omnath, and I'm leaving Kali.
I'm bringing Gen, and the last one. And look at my bag. Oh, Asika.
Ah.
Those are the 6 that I'm bringing.
Yeah.
If I can get away with Zakama, that'd be fantastic, but I don't expect to.
It's not fair. If you're bringing Zakama, I should be able to bring Atraxa.
You got what was it?
Slivers? My
Yeah,
Sliver
Slivers
deck's
got-
not broken.
Dragon.
Dragon's not terribly broken either. I almost won, but I didn't. I become a target almost the minute it shows up on the board.
Zakama, I'm always a target.
No, Zakama, you're not always a target because you play a different Zakama than most people are used to. The first time they play your Zakama, they're like, "Oh, it's a Dino deck." Holy shit, he got it out on turn 3.
That is possible with the deck. Not likely, but possible.
But I'm very excited, yeah. So, and I too want to get back out to Kerwin's on a Friday. It's just, and now it's winter. It's like, oh my gosh, I could be out there, and all of a sudden the sky opens up, and it's like 4 hours to get home.
Yeah, it's so tough, and it's just again with the mandates and everything. It's just
Yeah. Oh, I was really scared when they were like, "Okay, we want you to come down next week," and I'm like, not Wednesday, right? Oh, wait. And then I was like, "Oh, it's the week after." Oh, thank Christ. Because then I was like, "Oh God, I could get back Tuesday and be like, I'm going to reserve the right next week to be like, look, if I'm tired, because I had to travel Monday and Tuesday. That's just it. I'm going to wake up Monday morning, travel to Jersey. Now I'm staying overnight, and then I'm going to go, have a meeting and stuff on Tuesday, and then like drive home Tuesday and go to work Wednesday. So it's like, that's going to be.
If you want to wait an extra week to see Niv Mizzet again, I understand.
Yeah, you did win last week. That's right.
I did end up winning last week.
And we haven't taken, I don't think we've taken any time off as far as, I mean, we've not done the podcast, but CommanderCraft, we tend to be like, no, let's do that.
Truth be told to the listeners, I mean, as fun as the podcast is, I enjoy playing the game more.
I
really
love
do.
I love doing this podcast. It's
I do too.
more important to me to do this podcast than the game, but I get where you're coming from.
Yeah, because I don't get a chance to really play,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm old school broadcasting anyway. It's like, oh God, if we have to take a night, like, don't get me wrong. I'm reserving the right next week to be like, I could be down there and be like, listen, I traveled all day. The year in review might be the call-in show. We may take next week off. It's possible because I could be down there in a hotel and going, I don't want to do the show. Because I'll have traveled, 4.5 hours, on Monday morning and then worked all day. And then, I got to go check into the hotel. Then I got to go find food. And somebody's probably going to want to take me to food. Yeah. Is the cast still on? It's kind of, yeah, Jake, what we do here is we have like 2 casts.
Yeah.
Hold on.
This is the extra stuff afterwards where we're just kind of screwing around and talking. And there was one time, we have it saved somewhere. One time we basically spent like a half an hour talking about Deep Space Nine. So,
Yeah.
It's extra content.
Yeah.
It's for people that want to hang around.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Jake, I definitely want you and Matt, if he's available, that definitely a part of the call-in. So, but yeah, maybe we might do a year. Maybe we might just plan next week to, I don't know, let's see how things ride. I mean, I'm going to bring it down with me.
Go.
Yeah.
Yeah, see how it goes.
Because if I'm sitting down in the hotel room and I'm like, I could do this. I mean, I won't have this mic. I'm not going to bring all the stuff. I would bring the mic I used before, which is not very good, but it's better than nothing.
It did what it needed to do.
Yeah. So... But yeah, it's definitely, and then the call-in show, maybe the call-in show will just be the year in review anyway. Maybe next week will just be, I kind of like that idea of the year in review. Huh?
Yeah. We might have enough time to do both.
I think with the year in review, if we make it the call-in show, it's also going to encourage people to, it's kind of giving them a topic to be ready for call-in. Like the topic is year in review. Bring your stories from the past year,
Yeah.
Actually, the more I think about it, the more I think that's exactly what we're going to do. So, yeah, next week won't be the year in review. Next week's going to be the call, or whatever, and then 2 weeks will be the year in review, and that's the call-in show. Because, I mean, we're starting year 4, I think, January. So, yeah, our fourth, 4 years. Every day is better than the next. No, I'm just kidding. I said that to my wife once, and she's like, you're so sweet. I'm like, you didn't hear what I said, did you? She's like, no. I'm like, say it again. Because I was like, oh, honey, every day with you is just better than the next. She's like, that is so sweet. And then she starts.
Only you.
I know.
Only you would take something that's meant to be a nice thing to say and turn it on its head.
Well, think about it, though. It's horrible. I was like...
It is horrible.
That's okay. Okay. I'm going to get a little thing here.
Every week you skip, we're closer to catching. You still got a couple of years.
Yeah, you got a couple of years. When I first moved out here, I had never heard of Glumkey before. Apparently, I'm living in a very Polish part of the state. And I come from a very Irish-Italian part of the state. So I'd never heard of Glumkeys before. So I moved out here, and then for Easter, Wendy's like telling me about her mom making Glumkeys. And I immediately start calling them Blumpkins. And do you know what that is?
Nope.
That's a sexual term. You can look it up on Urban Dictionary. But it's not nice. And it was my own little joke for myself. Like, I'll be like, so your mom's making plumpkins again, huh? And Wendy's like, yeah, she's making these great,
So,
it's supposed to be
like sort of like how I call Easter zombie Jesus Day.
Yeah, or no, more like, a Blumpkin's kind of like a Dirty Sanchez or a Hot Carl, or, those like weird urban words for sex things that are really gross. I mean, a Blumpkin is basically a woman pleasuring a dude while pooping.
Okay.
But, and I know this, and I'm kind of just having my own little fun at it. And Wendy's like, you just say that so wrong. That's such a weird word. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know where I came up with that. It's terrible. But I got Wendy starting to say it every once in a while. Like, privately, she'd be like, yes, dear, my mom's making Blumpkins. And I'd be like, and then her mother, she's like, what do you call it? Blumpkin? And then I'm crying. And finally, Wendy's like, what is the big deal with that? And I finally had to be like, you've never looked up the word Blumpkin? She's like, no. And I mean, we had been like married 6 months, dating for 3 years when she found out. And she's like, you're the worst person alive. Oh my, you're horrible. My mother calls it that now. And I'm just like, I know, I've been having my own little fun with you guys for years. She's like, you're a very mean person. It's just, it's so funny. I'm a horrible person. I love being mean. Yeah, so that's my little feel good for the night. Let's see. Kinetic put out there, is there going to be another Precon CommanderCraft? I recently brought Poser. I think we should do a Precon soon. Like, I think we should do those periodically. Like, it doesn't have to be just when new sets drop.
The problem is it'll be a little while for me because usually once I play the precons and we do the precon thing, I strip them for parts.
Okay. Have you stripped your new ones yet? You'd have any?
Yep.
Okay. Well, there you go. Well, maybe
Strip
some of our CommanderCraft sponsorship can go towards you getting a precon.
Once I have enough soul rings and arcane signets and such, and like my 32 is completed. When I get the precons, they'll stay in amber. But right now, my priority when I get those decks is, okay, I'll save them for the event. Once the event's over, I strip them for the cards that I'm looking for that are in there that happen to fit into the decks that I'm building.
Yeah, I have a few precons, so I mean, I keep them because my kids like to play precons because they don't like my constructed. We can figure that out, but I think you should get one or two to hold on to. Like, maybe see if there are any cheap out there that you liked playing, and just order one. Just be like, this is for when I play precons.
I'll probably try to see if I can find one that I don't already have.
Yeah, exactly. So, play Modern, guys. $700 gives you a top tier deck.
$700 gets you a really good commander deck too. Yeah. That's the thing.
$700 gets you a great commander deck. Play Modern. I forgot to say during the show.
I mean, I like watching Modern. I'm not sure I could. Maybe now that I'm playing Commander, I could do it. But when I got back into it, I couldn't keep up with it because it had been so long. There's a huge stretch of cards that I missed.
And here's the thing, because the thing about Commander is the word casual. You feel like you don't have to be, playing the super best deck. But Modern, I'm sorry, Modern for me is also daunting. Modern is scary for me in some regards.
Yeah, Modern can be very scary. I mean, especially it's a lot of Ragavan piles now too.
Yeah. So Modern is amazing.
I know that's not the whole format, Jake. I know that's not the whole format, but I know that Ragavan is a big deal in Modern.
Boy, he's just trying.
Hold my hand? Not on the first date, bud. Pretty sure my wife had something to say about that.
She wouldn't. Pam.
No, you're right. She would. That's the scary thing. She wouldn't have anything to say about it.
Yeah, because Pam's pretty progressive. She understands.
No. She's Italian.
Oh.
She's got nothing to say.
Yeah, she's just gonna.
That's the thing. When she stops talking, you start running.
Oh yeah. You guys are so cute, though. You and Pam both are just adorbs. Not nearly as bad in Modern. He's there, but not too bad. Jake's trying, man. He's trying to get... Yeah, because, Jake, you want us to start talking about Modern and Legacy, because then your show has no reason to exist.
I've got a lot of fetch lands to get yet.
Legacy is fucked. Yes, it is, and Legacy was fucked when it became Pioneer. When Pioneer happened, Legacy got fucked because Pioneer kind of turned Legacy into Vintage.
And Legacy, I mean, unless you're Legacy is a good format to get into if you already have the means. Otherwise, I mean, unless you're playing like Merfolk or Burn, I mean, that's a format that can get very expensive.
Oh yeah,
I mean, there's plenty of cheap decks that are out there, but like if you really want to be like upper echelon, like Death and Taxes type of thing, that can get real pricey real quick. Because you're talking original duels and crap like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Seriously, cost aside, fuck Legacy.
Seriously, cost a fuck Legacy.
Well, that's the
I
thing.
might sell it. Oh my gosh, dude, you do a Legacy podcast. That's like us saying fuck Standard.
Well, for me, it's like if I wanted to play Legacy, I'll play Commander.
Yeah,
because that's basically Legacy. True. You know, it's just not 4-ofs.
Yeah.
I think for me, what really drew me to Commander is it like you said, it feels like old Magic.
Yeah.
It feels like Magic when we were younger, and you know we're sitting at the kitchen table with our friends. We're just throwing a pile of shit together and seeing what happens. I mean, yes, obviously there's a meta game, there's optimization, and you can get your deck finely tuned to do a killing machine like Zakama is almost. But
you really want to play Zakama Wednesday, don't you?
I love that deck. It's my favorite Commander deck. Think about it. The Dirty Control player's favorite Commander deck is a Naya Dinosaur.
No one's feelings get hurt in Modern. What? You make it sound like there are people that get salty on this show when they lose.
We're both guilty of that.
Not as bad. I was getting beat up on pretty good last week, and I was like, all right.
Well, you also had, what was that? Turn 2 Rhystic Study, turn 3 Smothering Tide.
Oh, it was
Mana
turn
Crypt.
1 Mana Crypt into
You had Fiery Emancipation.
Signet.
You can't like threat assessment, dude. You had a Fiery Emancipation
turn 4
with two tax cards out and all the mana rocks in the world. It doesn't matter what anybody else was doing. You were the threat.
I was the threat. And
because
that's
the amount of mana you could generate was absurd. And think about that too. How many times could I have won the game if the Curiosity / Ophidian Eye didn't get countered, killed, or Niv Mizzet didn't get killed in between? I had that game done like an hour earlier. We had to do that to
you, though. We had to do
but
that.
But then we would have gotten a game 2, and if you had.
But then again, I tried to end it. I'm like, I tried to get that to happen, and I'm like, guys, I'm just trying to end the damn game, and somebody's like, nope, counter. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even me winning. It was I think it was taking you out. Or I had a way to take like 2 or 3 people out, and it was going to be 1v1. And although